He gave Boris Johnson any credit for getting a deal over the line with the EU.
The devil is in the detail. Having analysed it, if you look at the political direction, it's clearly towards a deregulated economy. All the words about a close economic relationship have been taken out. All the aspiration to align has been taken out. So this spells out a deregulated economy, moving away from those standards that we've had for many years.
But hang on, you're talking as if that is set in stone. That absolutely isn't set in stone, because that's for the future. That indeed is for the political declaration. You know, there's going to be many months, even years, to sort this out. You might even hope that there's a Labour government in to do it. So why are you being so defeatist?
Because the withdrawal agreement is the exit agreement. The political direction is where you're going next. And that declaration matters from day one. So if this deal gets over the line, that is the base upon which the negotiations open.
But we know with past negotiations, that may be the base, but it can turn in a sixpence. And so therefore, presumably, Keir Starmer, you should have actually more confidence that a Labour government, if and when one comes along, could make huge inroads on that.
Come on, if you're putting to me that the Labour Party should back a deal, notwithstanding it signals a direction towards deregulation, because sometime later on you might be able to change it. Why on earth would the Labour Party, the trade union movement, back a deal which is starting down a slippery slope to deregulation, which is going to fundamentally change our trading relationship with the EU?
So, if it's such a terrible deal, why is it that, as Stephen Kinnock says about a deal, as many as 50 Labour MPs might vote for it? In fact, Labour MPs could perhaps get this deal over the line on Saturday.
I don't know where that figure has come from. It is true that a number of Labour MPs, probably a dozen or more, are concerned about whether they should vote for a deal. But we've had this every time we've come up to one of these votes. We have a big discussion within the Labour Party. People have been coming up to me all day saying, what's your analysis of the deal? Is it better or worse? I say it's worse, and I explain why it's worse. And that is the discussion we'll be having into Saturday.
What's the whip going to be then? What is the whip?
The whip will be against the deal, a three-line whip against the deal. It's a worse deal than Theresa May's deal. We had a three-line whip against that deal.
You have Labour MPs who feel free to support this deal. I'm asking you, what would you do to a Labour MP that supports this deal?
I don't underestimate how difficult a decision this is for people, but I don't think people just feel free. We will have a three-line whip. We'll have a united Labour Party approach to this, and that's my job over the next 2 days to try and achieve that.
No censure for any MP that votes with Boris Johnson.
If you're trying to put words in my mouth, you're not going to succeed. I didn't say that. That is a question for Jeremy Corbyn and the Chief Whip. My job is to try to talk to every Labour MP and persuade them and talk to them about the deal, persuade them it's a bad deal because it is a bad deal, and make sure they vote with the whip on Saturday. That's the same job I've been doing for the best part of 3 years.
So let's say you win the day on Saturday and the deal falls. Exactly what happens next?
We actually anticipated we might be in this place. The Benn Act kicks in and the Prime Minister has to ask for an extension in accordance with the law.
So let's say that happens.
Yes.
And then how quickly do you call a vote of no confidence?
Well, we'll have to see where we are next week. That's a question for Jeremy Corbyn.
But presumably you will very quickly call a vote of no confidence, because presumably you realise that Boris Johnson can't actually govern.
Well, look, what we've said is we're not going to be allowing a general election to happen until we are sure we've secured an extension and no deal is off the table. We haven't reached that point, and when we do, we'll have to make a judgment call. That'll be for Jeremy Corbyn as leader of the Labour Party, and we'll make that decision. But for now, the concentration on Saturday is the deal good enough to be voted through? Answer, absolutely not, and therefore we need to vote against it. If it goes down, we must then go on to take a second decision, which is to ensure that the Benn Act, the legislation, is complied with.
So would you, now we have this deal, say it falls on Saturday, you go for an extension, you'll still be minded to go for a referendum on the deal before you go for a general election? Well,
I think if this deal falls, I don't really see how you can have a referendum on it. But the principle is an important one, which is that if there is a deal that Parliament can get around and agree, we ought then to have a referendum where we ask a very basic question, which is, do you want to leave on these terms? Now you know what they are. Or would you rather remain? And I think that in the end now, that's going to be the only way to break the impasse and to move on.
Keir Starmer, thank you so much.